Yep. Good morning, everyone. So yesterday I given complete overview on what concepts we are going to learn in React. Yesterday we discussed about some basic concepts also. So in yesterday's session we discussed about what is React and what is difference between React and Angular, and we learned a point like, so what are the challenges in modern web development? These three basic points, and before that I explained the course. So course related all the basic points I explained, and today I will share a WhatsApp community group. You join that, and in that we will post the Google Drive link where you can get the notes and everything, whatever we are discussing in the class. In that community, we will post the videos of the previous session videos. We will post there. At the end of session, I will share with you. So you can join. If anyone missed out yesterday's session, you can go through the video, right? Detailed course content and everything we will post there. So you can check, right? And yesterday we learned about these points. So I hope everyone is clear about them. So what is React? So React is a library. Library, can you build application with React? Can you build application with React? We cannot build application with React. Library cannot build an application. So you need what? Frameworks. You need frameworks. So React is a framework or library? Library. It's not a framework. And what is a framework? So framework can build application and control the application flow. And Angular is a framework. So Angular is a framework and React is a library. And yesterday I explained, so which project chooses React and for which project we use Angular. Two basic things I explained. Next, one more point, why we need React and Angular like technologies. So to overcome the challenges, what are the challenges we discuss? So important challenges in modern web development. I explained about unified user experience. Another one is what? Fluid user experience. And another loosely coupled and extensible. Extensible architecture. These are the basic important challenges. So in the modern web development, the challenges are unified experience, fluid experience, and loosely coupled and extensive. What is unified experience? Unified experience means an application must have same experience across any device. Any device, any operating system must able to use application in the same way. All features must be available in the same way. We call that as what? Unified. Fluid experience means user must stay on one place and everything should get onto that place. There should not be any information like page by page. Everything should come onto one page. That is what fluid experience. What is loosely coupled and extensible architecture? Loosely coupled and extensible architecture is nothing but without disturbing the application, we must able to add new feature into application. Adding new feature into application should not disturb the application, should not lead to any catastrophic failures. These are the basic things we discussed in our previous class. Now, the challenges in modern development, web development are these. Everybody wants their application like this. Now, the question is, These are the challenges. Then the question is, what is the solution? What is the solution? That means the problems of modern web development will know. That means we discussed that an application must have unified experience. An application must have fluid experience, and it must be loosely coupled and extensible. How you can achieve this? What is the solution? Traditional web applications that you build using your .NET, Java, PHP, Python, or any other technology, the traditional applications that you build, they don't have all these features. The traditional web applications that you build by using your technologies are by default not having all these features. Then how you can build an application which can have all these features? So if an application having similar features, then the solution for this is, so this is the question, what is the solution? And the answer is better build SPA and progressive web applications. So the solution for this is better build single page applications. SPA stands for single page applications. Better build single page applications and progressive web application. Actually, now the current generation is completely with single page application. Single page application means user will stay on only one page and everything comes onto that page. You will not have any page by page navigation. You have seen lot of websites. So you open home page. From home page, you will go to contacts page. From contacts page to some other products page. But in single page application, you will have only one page on screen. You select login, you select register, you select anything. Every concept comes onto the same page. So there will not be any page by page. You see your Facebook. In Facebook, you don't have any page by page information. You scroll just up and down. You watch your YouTube. You just scroll up and down. You are watching hundreds, thousands of videos, but there is nothing like next page, previous page. So these are all what kind of applications? Single page application. Single page applications, so means they provide an approach in such a way that you stay on one page and get access to everything on that page. Progressive web application means this is little bit more advanced than single page application. Progressive web application is generally applications which are suitable for low bandwidth devices like mobile and smartwatches. You are developing an application. So progressive application means you are using a website, but you have an app-like experience. A website gives an app-like experience in browser. For example, you have you used Visual Studio Code, am I right? Visual Studio Code as an editor. But you see, there is online Visual Studio Code. So Visual Studio Code online. This is the online Visual Studio Code, VS Code Dev. You can see that this is online Visual Studio Code. Actually, now I am opening a website. This is online Visual Studio Code. I am opening a website. but you can see that this website is having an app-like experience. It doesn't look like a page. It doesn't look like a page. Usually website looks like a page, but it looks like an app. These are called progressive web applications. We call these type of apps as progressive web application. Single page applications and progressive web applications. So we can build single page applications or we can build progressive web applications. So these are the future generation application. The future generation applications are not traditional web application. And these applications will have unified experience. They have fluid experience and loosely coupled and extensive. So to overcome the challenges of modern web development, what is the solution? So better change your approach. Don't go with traditional web applications that you are building. Better go with what kind of apps? Single page application and progressive. Now the current generation is all about single page application and progressive. Now the question is, okay, I got the solution. Now the point here is, now the question is how to build single page application. How to build single page applications. How we can build single page applications. So first point, you understood that modern web development is not like previous. You have so many new challenges. And second point, you understood how to overcome these challenges. Now the question is how to build single page application. Actually, you may be hearing about single page applications new, but world's popular and first single page application is Twitter. You have a Twitter account handle, right? You are using Twitter. So you may be using for Twitter for so many years. Do you know Twitter already have this kind of experience? That means, have you seen Twitter? Twitter is already having this kind of experience. So Twitter is already a what kind of application? Single page application. It's already a single page application. It have all these features. That means before Angular and React were born, we have single page application. That means now how you can build single page applications. Generally, what is the concept behind building the single page application? So the point is, so you can use traditional HTML, CSS, JavaScript, jQuery for building single page applications. You can use the traditional approach of HTML, CSS, JavaScript, jQuery for building the single page applications. So the modern generation applications are single page application. So now doubt is, can I build this single page application with my JavaScript, with my jQuery? Of course, even you can build progressive web applications also with them. Progressive web applications means applications suitable for mobiles. We can build progressive web applications also by using this HTML, CSS, JavaScript, and jQuery. So JavaScript and jQuery can build single page application. Then the question is, if we can build single page with JavaScript and jQuery, then why you need other technologies? Why you need some new technologies? So already JavaScript, jQuery are well established. They are already there in the market from several years. And almost all websites are built with these only. Then why you are not continuing with JavaScript and jQuery? why you are migrating to some other technologies like Angular and React. Angular and React are good for building what kind of applications? Single page applications and progressive web application. Now the question is why? Why not you continue with your JavaScript and jQuery? So what is the problem with JavaScript and jQuery? So here now another question is, what are the issues with the JavaScript and jQuery in building single page application? What are the issues with JavaScript and jQuery in building single page application? This is one key point. So if anyone asks, can I build a single page application with JavaScript, jQuery? Of course, you can do it. And already several single page applications are built with JavaScript and jQuery. Then what are the issues in JavaScript and jQuery? So the first important problem with JavaScript and jQuery, what are the issues? The first point is they require lot of DOM interactions and DOM manipulations. You know, JavaScript and jQuery, they completely depend on lot of DOM manipulations. You know already DOM methods and all. What is DOM? Document object model, right? You know the DOM hierarchies and DOM issues. Lot of DOM interactions and DOM manipulations. That means what is the problem with this is lot of coding and heavy applications. So heavy applications. jQuery reduces the coding, but completely will not eliminate maximum coding approaches. So lot of coding and lot of heavy applications. And another point is, one of the major problem is, I told you a concept that, for example, I told you what is single page application means. For example, so we have a index page. Now we have a login page, login.html. So you have a login page. Now in the index page, you have a login link is present. Now when I click on login link, I need to bring that login HTML page into index. I don't want to navigate there. I don't want to navigate there. I need to bring that login into my index page. So how you do this in your JavaScript? So what is the concept? User should stay on one page and everything should come onto that page. That is the nature of single page application. You select login, login should come there, but login is separately designed. You click register, register should come there. So register is separately designed. Now, how you will achieve this concept? Question understood? So that is the nature of single page application. How you will achieve this concept? If you learn JavaScript, how you do this? If you learn JavaScript, you know that you can do that by using Ajax. I hope you learned Ajax in your JavaScript, right? So it uses Ajax calls, lot of Ajax. Without refreshing a page, how you will get new details into the page? That is possible only through Ajax. You generally learn these all Ajax concepts in your JavaScript. So that means JavaScript jQuery require lot of Ajax calls. Lot of Ajax calls. So they require lot of AJAX calls. So for asynchronous requests, async requests, for async requests, lot of AJAX calls. Another major problem is not easy to extend. So you have extensibility issues, not easy to extend. Extensibility issues will come. Applications are not easy to extend. Generally, single page applications must be very easy to extend. But when you build with JavaScript, jQuery, these are the major issues. Internally, so many are there, which you will learn while learning React and JavaScript and all these things. So initially, we can build single page application with JavaScript and jQuery. But the major challenges are these. Lot of DOM interactions. Because of this, applications will be slow. They will not be fast. And very heavy application because of lot of DOM methods you need to write for interaction, output DOM methods, input DOM methods. So you need lot of AJAX. Everywhere you have to use AJAX calls. So to handle single page applications. And it is not very hard to extend the logic. It's not easy to extend. That means without disturbing application, you should add some features into this. That's not easy with JavaScript and jQuery. So these are the issues with JavaScript and jQuery. Then what is the solution again? What is the solution for what is the solution now? What is the solution is we have technologies like React, Angular, so Vue, so we have Backbone JS, Ember JS, so we have like Knockout JS, so many are there. So many are available as a solution. It is not necessary that everyone have to use this React, right? Yesterday I explained clearly. So what is difference between React and Angular? And React and Angular, these are not choice. It is React and Angular is a mandatory requirement for web developers. And there are so many. Actual, before Angular and React, these were very popular. Even today, many companies are using Backbone and Knockout.js. Many companies are still using Backbone and Knockout.js. Before Angular, React, these two were very popular among web development for building single page applications. After that, this Angular and React took over the market because of their features and their background. So now the point is, so we have so many. Then why a company chooses React for their development? So what is the main concept of choosing React? That means what are the features of React? This is the major. So I'm not going to discuss about others features because we are going to learn about React. So we are going to discuss about what are the features of React. What are the major features of React? So how this React is helpful? What is the concept of this React? So what are the key features of React? Let's see what are the key features of React. That means developer is choosing one technology means there might be some features provided by the technology. And in companies, how a software or technology is decided to build an application. You have a lot of technologies, Java, .NET, PHP, Python, so many technologies are there. So how a company decides which technology to use for building a application for a particular business? So you know the basic criteria. You learned all in software development. The basic criteria is how company chooses that. Company chooses by using one approach. That means actually we design one table which has as is and a to be and a gap. This is the table a software company first designs to decide which technology they have to use. So that means, for example, we are so working for IBM, or we are working from some Wipro or Infosys like this. Now, a client like suppose HDFC Bank, this client wants an app and they approach these people to build an app for them to maintain their business, to build an application. They approached these people. Now, how these people will decide which technology to use for building that app, whether Java or .NET or PHP, Python, to build an app for their business transactions. How they decide? For that, they prepare a table which is this one. In this table, we have information like as is. As is means what your technology is capable of. What your technology is capable of, that is as is. To be means what client wants, that is to be. That means you have Java, .NET and all this. So what your technology capable of and what the client wants, these are important. For example, you are building an application for HDFC Bank. In HDFC Bank, UPI payments will be there. For that, a QR code must be generated. You can scan that QR code. Now tell me, you Java developers and .NET developers, how to write a program for generating QR code? In your Java, in your .NET or any technology you may be learning, tell me how to write a program to generate a QR code. No. If you cannot, then how you will build an app for movie ticket booking, for bus ticket booking? Because all these days we generate a QR code. If your technology is not capable of doing that, then how you will do that? Is Java having any library for QR code? Internally, is Java having any library for that? Is internally .NET having any library for QR code? No, they don't have. But they have to depend on third party. I hope you know, right? That means your technology is not having certain feature, that is gap. Gap means they want a QR code, your technology not capable of. Then how you will fill the gap? We fill the gaps by using what? Third party implementation. That means they are not part of your technology, but you can integrate them and you can use them. So that means the point here is, suppose Java is having 20% gaps and .NET is having some 10% gaps and some PHP is having 2% gaps. Then we decide that we will build an app using PHP because 98% it can fulfill. Only 2% gaps we will take care about them using other third parties. This is how a technology is chosen for building an application. We will not use Java because you know Java. We will not use .NET because you know .NET. After all, why? Because we choose a technology which is suitable for client business. And for that, this table plays the key role. As is, to be, and gap. To select a technology for building an app, this is the key one. So the point is, why anybody selects React? So what are the features? So what it can provide to the developer and what are the issues with them? We will see, right? What are the features? First important, the features of React. The first important feature is React is component based. Component based. So React is component based. One of the major feature of React is it is component based. What is component based and what is the advantage of being component based? For example, I will show you a simple concept. What is a component based? Suppose you are using Amazon. This is Amazon. Amazon is built with React.js. Amazon, Instagram, Facebook, all these are React.js. Netflix, all are built with React.js. And when you see Amazon and you are web developers, I think you can tell what this is. What is this? Huh? What is that component called as? This component is called as what? Carousel. Am I right? Can you tell what these are? What these are? These are cards. And what is this one? That is an input group. That is an input group. That means in your website, you want a carousel, sliding banners and all. Now, will you write a code for carousel? Will you write logic for next button, slide, previous button, slide? No, we don't do that. What we do is ready-made are there, which are provided by Bootstrap like people. We just put them and we customize according to requirements. So what is carousel? Carousel is a web component. And what is the advantage of a component? It is already built. It is already having the design, functionality. Just you customize according to your requirement. Then designing this manually and just integrating and customizing according to our requirement. Which one is fast? So that means we can easily inject it, customize, and we can build an application. So component based means this. Component based means already designed. Just you plug in, push, and build an application with them. That makes application development easy, fast. So component based is not a new concept actually. It's a very old concept and it is there everywhere. For example, I will show you here. Later we will learn how to create projects and all. I will show you a simple basic point here. So let's take a simple point here. For example, we are having something like, we have a HTML page. In HTML page, I'm using some departure and we have input type is equal to date. You know, there is a input type date. So what is this input type date? What do you call this as? Date element? No, it is a date component. It is not date element. So that means you see, for example, when I run this, you may think like this is a simple element. This is not a element. This is a component. Do you know, to design this box, you need a div, and to design these separated contents, you need spans, and you need a icon. And when you click that icon, a pop-up will come. In that, dates are generated. You select a date, that date will be stored in the text box. This is not element, this is a component. It is already built with lot of design and functionality. That means if I ask you to design like this, it will take hours of time for you to build like this. And we are not doing that. We are just injecting input type date. Automatically this interface comes to us. You want to see the code behind this? Let's right click and inspect. When you inspect, what you do is go to the category of settings. In the settings, make sure that you selected a shadow DOM. You select this shadow DOM. If it is not selected, you will see that in the body, input date is normal. That is how you think that input date is a normal one. But observe careful, this is normal. But let's go to the shadow DOM. When you go to the settings and select this shadow DOM and close, you can see that this date is built with a lot of design. See how much design is there. This is all used to design date. It is a date picker component. It is not a date element. It is a date picker component. Even, do you know, even button is a component. Button is also a component. So even button is a component. Button have a box, in that value, in that you can put a picture. Do you know button is designed with div? You use button as a tag, but actually it is a component. So React is component based. What is advantage of component based? The advantage of component based, what is the key feature about this? So easy to build. Easy to build. We will learn more about components, but what is the advantage? Easy to build and rapid development. Enables rapid development. Easy to build, fast to build. Another important is easy to extend. Easy to extend. That means you can easily extend, and it is good for single page environment. Single page environment. That means, so it is easy to handle over AJAX calls. You can easily bring a component and display a component. So what is the advantage of being component based? If it is component based, it is very easy. I will tell you so many points like that. For example, see, means you may not observe while you are learning your HTML, but what is the problem in your HTML? What you haven't learned very much, I will tell you. For example, we have some data list, data term, user ID, and some text box. Input type is equal to text. And we have a password, and input type is password. And we have a button. So a button as some login. Now, what is the concept here is I want this login. This is a login. I want this login in the same page at the bottom one more time. I want this login in the same page at the bottom one more time. How do you do that? Copy paste. Then how? One more time, I want the login in the same location or in different places. What you'll do? You learned HTML. What you'll do? Will you copy paste that code block everywhere? Then do you know you haven't learned anything for that? But actually we have a concept for that. And what is the concept is, I can build this. I can build this as a component. JavaScript and jQuery have web components concept, but nobody will teach you or nobody will use in real world in the modern generation because it's a lengthy approach. That means we can build a component. What is advantage of component? Do you know in HTML and JavaScript, you can create your own login tag. Just like how you used image tag, button tags and all, you can create your own tags. And whenever you use this tag, it is going to render this entire markup, including functionality. If it have a functionality, it will have that functionality also. Functionality means like validations. That means we haven't used this as component based. Now imagine if it is not component based, I have to copy paste everywhere. If I want to make changes everywhere, I have to change. That's not a great idea. What is the advantage of component based? Easy to reuse, easy to extend, and easy to build, and it is faster in building. That means you see the website. Suppose we have the website like Netflix. When I use this Netflix, in Netflix, they given an option, get started. You want to watch, get started. And when I scroll down, the same is present below again. Will they copy and paste so many times? No, they create a reusable components. And React will teach you how to build these components so that we can reuse the designs, reuse the functionalities without rewriting again and again. That is the nature of component base. In React, this is the primary. These are the building blocks of React application. Every React application is built with components. And being component based is a very good advantage. It has a lot of features. Second important, another very important feature about React is actually React uses virtual DOM. This is one of the major feature. React uses virtual DOM. This is another major feature. And to understand this virtual DOM, you need to understand the complete process actually. React uses virtual DOM. And that is the one of the main concept of React. If anybody asks, I don't want several features, tell me only one feature about React, primary feature of React. Then we always talk about virtual DOM. That means if anybody asks like, I don't want all these features, you tell only one primary feature of React, then we will talk about always virtual DOM. And what is this virtual DOM? Actually, to understand virtual DOM, you must know three basic things. One is to understand DOM. So to know about DOM, virtual DOM, to know about virtual DOM, so you must know about three basic things. So what is DOM and what is shadow DOM and what is virtual DOM? These three things we will discuss now. To know about Virtual DOM, you must know about these three things. What is DOM, what is shadow DOM, and what is virtual DOM. You should know the difference between them. Every React interview for fresher will have a question on this. They will ask what is DOM, what is shadow DOM, what is virtual DOM. And you already learnt about what is DOM in your HTML. In HTML, JavaScript, without knowing that you are not HTML, JavaScript learner, right? So if you learned HTML, JavaScript, you know what is DOM. What is the concept of DOM? So what is DOM? So first you need to understand. First we will come back to this feature. To that, for that you need to learn all these first. So let's see the first one. What is DOM? So what is the concept of DOM? Let's see what is DOM. I hope you already learned this in your HTML. I will just give one more time an overview about this. What is this DOM is? Generally, you know, to understand the virtual DOM, you know how your browser works. That means you are having a browser. And to understand this, first you need to know the browser architecture. You have to know the browser architecture. That means your browser that you are using, Chrome, Edge, Firefox, these are all the browsers. You should know first how your browser works, how your browser presents anything. Once you know that, then you will understand what is DOM. First, important, you already learnt in your HTML. Every browser, the basic architecture of browser. So this is the browser architecture. So this is the basic browser architecture. And when you come from the background of HTML and JavaScript, without this, you cannot come. You know what is your browser, how your browser works. That's a basic point. That means you are using Edge, Firefox, or Chrome. So how your browser works? What is the basic architecture behind your browser? Every browser comprises of these components. This is the official browser architecture. Every browser have this architecture. This you already learnt in HTML, but I will just give overview, a point about this. I will give a fast overview about that because our HTML people already know this. What is browser, how it works. So first, browser have an UI, user interface. Every browser have an user interface. User interface is nothing but when you open browser, you will have a refresh button. You will have a back button. You will have an address bar. These all comes under browser UI. Browser UI comprises of the buttons, the address bar, and everything. Now what happens is, so let me show a browser to you. So this is a browser. And in this browser, you have this button. And you have this button and address bar. This is UI, browser user interface. Now tell me what happens when I click this button. Refresh. That means it will refresh the page. It will refresh that page. And do you know how to disable that? In JavaScript, how a page is refreshed? In JavaScript, to refresh a page, you use location.reload. Location.reload is a method in JavaScript which reloads the page. That's the general point, right? That means this button have some logic in the background. That is the reason when I click the button, it is reloading the page. That means the UI have some logic in the background. That background logic is called UI backend. UI backend. UI is the user interface and the logic for that UI is UI backend. Usually you are not given access to this UI backend. If you are given access to UI backend, you can change the functionality of the buttons. You can disable back button, you can disable refresh button, you can change the refresh button icon. That means, do you know there are so many open source browsers on internet? Open source browsers means you can download those browsers and you can customize them according to your requirement. Go to ChatGPT and just type create a new own browser. It will give you the code. And you put the browser name by your name, my browser. You can have your own browser with your own buttons and everything. But majority of the browsers, they don't give you access to their backend. If they give access to backend, you can modify. If anybody asks like, can I disable the refresh button? Yes, I can if I give an access to the backend of that particular UI. So whatever you see on screen, buttons, address bar and everything, this is what UI. And the logic for that is what? UI backend. And whatever HTML, CSS you write, it is not understandable to browser. I hope you learned that your HTML, CSS is translated by a browser engine. Every browser have a browser engine. That browser engine is responsible for translating HTML and CSS. Whatever HTML, CSS, many people will tell you like, we are learning HTML because browser understand HTML, right? Browser cannot understand even HTML. So, you know, computer devices can understand only binary codes, nothing else. Then how anybody say that browser can understand HTML? Computer cannot understand anything. It can understand only binary code. It need to be translated. Even HTML is not understandable to browser. It need to be translated. And who translates HTML and CSS? Browser engine. And you know, every browser have different engines. Different engines. What is the engine for Edge? What is the engine for Edge? Edge uses a engine called Chakra. What is the engine for Firefox? Spider Monkey Gecko. What is the engine for Chrome? V8. V8 is the engine for Chrome. What is the engine for Safari? WebKit. WebKit is the engine for Safari. These are all interview questions. You show up yourself like I am a React developer. They think you are genius in development. Understood? You put React developer in resume. They imagine that you are genius in web development. React is very high level technology. They imagine like you like a genius in web design. And you can't answer what is a browser engine. They will laugh at your skills. What you are talking about. You are a React developer and you don't know browser engines. Right? That's a silly thing. So these are basic people learn in general HTML and JavaScript. They know how they are translated. And these are different types of engines, right? Every browser have different engines. That is the reason when you learned HTML, JavaScript, you learned one point that HTML elements, JavaScript functions, they have browser compatibility issues. Browser compatibility issues means in one browser, they may work, in another browser, they may not work. If you see any HTML tutorial, at the bottom, they will say image tag, how to use it. At the bottom, you will see browser support. They will show you which browser will support, which browser will not support, because every browser don't use the same engine. These are different browser engines. So what is user interface? The buttons, the address bar, this all comes under user interface. How this user interface works? That is because of backend, UI backend. Another important, this translation of HTML, CSS is done by browser engine. And after translating, generating output and presenting is done by rendering engine. Every browser have a rendering engine. It is responsible for presenting output. Whatever output you see on screen, it is the result of rendering engine. Browser engine translate HTML, CSS, rendering engine will present. Presentation is done by rendering engine. And JavaScript is not translated by browser engine. For that, there is a separate JavaScript interpreter. You have a JavaScript interpreter. JavaScript interpreter is responsible for translating JavaScript in browser. In browser, JavaScript is translated to handle client-side interactions by using a JavaScript interpreter. You know, interpreter, it is not compiler. Interpreter means line by line translator. It will translate line by line. Another important, networking. Every browser have networking. The purpose of networking is nothing but you requested an image. It will verify whether that image is present in the server or not. If it is present, it will bring the image and it will display the image. You requested something and it is not available, then it will show 404. Am I right? That means, what is this 404? That means it looked for a resource you requested and it is not available and returns 404 means what? Not found. And who is doing all this? Network. In browser, there is a networking. This networking will be responsible for managing the request from you, process your request, generate a response and send that to you. Whether your request is correct or not, whether your requested content is available or not, it is all verified by what? Networking. Every browser have a networking. Another important, data persistence. Every browser have a storage. I hope you learned this. In JavaScript, how you maintain state. In JavaScript, how you maintain state. You entered some password. Do you know your browser can save the password? Where it saves the password? Local storage, session storage, cookies. You learned all this in JavaScript, right? JavaScript state management techniques. What are those? Local storage, session storage, and cookies. In React interviews, almost out of 190 interviews ask about state management in JavaScript. They will ask, tell me difference between session storage and local storage. Tell me the difference between cookies and local storage. So data is stored. Browser stores your data. Your user IDs, your passwords, it stores your data. For that, it has a storage. That is what we call as data persistence. This is the browser architecture. Every browser have this infrastructure. Every browser works with this infrastructure. So browser architecture is first important. So now, once you know the browser architecture, so here, before knowing the DOM, that means we are having blanks now. We have to fill these blanks. To understand this DOM, you need to know one more. What is it? Browser architecture. What are the components of a browser? What are the components of a browser? What a browser usually contains? It have user interface. It have UI backend. You have browser engine, a rendering engine, and you have network, and we have JavaScript interpreter, and we have data persistence. Data persistence. So this is storage. These are all the components of a browser. A browser comprises of all these things. I will share the classroom related link. You can join that. There I will upload that presentation and diagram, everything, whatever I explained there. That is basic browser architecture. Okay, now you know the browser architecture. So now next important is in this browser, who is responsible for your HTML? Browser engine. So the question is, what is the role of browser engine? So it translates HTML and CSS. HTML CSS parsing is done by this browser engine. It translates HTML and CSS. It translates HTML and CSS. And do you know how HTML is translated? This is where you need to understand. So the question here, how HTML is translated? That means this we call it as HTML parsing. We call this HTML parsing. How HTML is translated, how it translates. What is the basic HTML parsing? So you learned HTML means you might learn how it is translated in the browser, how it comes into the browser, right? Let's see here how it is translated. I will show you. Generally, we have the browser, and we know that browser cannot understand whatever you write. So that means we have a browser, and browser cannot understand whatever you write. Then how it is translated? So actually, first point, developer writes markup. Developer will write the markup. That means HTML means everything is by using markup. Developer writes markup. Markup means we write like B, some hello, and close B, something like this. This is how we write the markup. Developer writes the markup. When we write the markup, this markup is translated into, translated into bytes. That means it is translated into binary code. That means whatever the markup you written, it is translated into the byte code. After translating into the byte code, this byte code is translated. Bytes are translated into characters. These bytes are translated into characters. Characters means it will be translated into individual characters like B, angle bracket, B, close, like this. And it will be translated like H, E, L, L, O, like that. So that means it is going to translate that everything into individual characters. It is translated into individual characters. You write the markup, markup is translated into bytes, bytes are translated into characters. These characters are brought together. We bring these characters together, and characters are converted. These characters are converted into tokens. We call them as tokens. These characters are converted into tokens. These tokens, usually you people call them as tags, but officially it is not a tag. It is officially a token. The process of converting the characters into token is called tokenization. In many React interviews, this is a popular question. What is tokenization? So React interviews, 60% questions will be on JavaScript, HTML, JavaScript. And because React interviews means high level web designer, a high professional web designer, and he must know all the background process first, how the architecture works. At experience level, these are very important questions. React interviews means you have to know about tokenizations. You need to know the architecture of browser. Lot of questions are asked in regular interviews in React. And they are not React topics. They are all general HTML, CSS, JavaScript. So technically, the markup converted into bytes, bytes are converted into characters, characters are converted into tokens. Now these tokens are converted into we call them as nodes. Tokens are converted into nodes. The tokens are converted into nodes, and officially these nodes are called as elements. The tokens are converted into nodes. We call them as what? Elements. That means what happens here is, suppose you return some IMG. So IMG is what? IMG is a token. And what is its element name? Element name is what? Image. Image is the element. And A is a token. Am I right? And what is its element name? Element name is what? Anchor. These are elements. Do you know HTML browser cannot understand tags? Browser can understand only elements. It cannot understand tags. It can understand only elements. That is the reason when you open any website, for example, you opened a website here. You open any website. So that means anything. So Google, and you see when I right click and I inspect, and you can observe that here it is elements, not tags. You will never see any word called tag in browser architecture because there is no tag at all. Tag is a general usage term that you use. But HTML and its architecture is completely of what? Elements. And elements are built by using what? Tokens. These tokens you may call it as tag. But officially they are not tags, they are what? Tokens. That means anchor is a token, angle bracket, close bracket, it is a token. Start token, end token. In general, you people may call that as tags. These tokens are converted into elements. These elements are arranged in a hierarchical order. That means we have a parent, and under that parent we have like child 1. So we have like child 2. They are arranged in a hierarchical order. And this hierarchical order of arranging the elements in the browser, that means you don't write in the order, but they do the order. They are arranged in an order. This hierarchical order of arranging elements, this is called as DOM. That is called DOM. That means the arrangement of elements in an hierarchical order, that is known as DOM, document object model. They have an order. You may not write in an order, but they are arranged in an order, an hierarchical order, document object model. And this DOM will undergo a process called layout. This DOM will undergo a process called layout. After layout, it will undergo another process called render. Layout is nothing but layout is going to tell where which component has to display. And after that, it will undergo the process render. After render, the final stage is called painting. The final stage is called painting. And the result of painting is in the browser, you can see in bold letters, hello. And that is because of painting. That is the result of painting. That means here I will show the process how it happens. So developer write markup, it converts into bytes. Bytes are converted into characters. Characters are converted into tokens. and tokens are converted into elements. Elements are arranged in an hierarchical order. That is what DOM. DOM will undergo a process of layout. From layout, it is rendered, and rendered will be painted, and the result of painting is what you see on this screen. That is the background process, how it happens in a browser. That is how your HTML is translated in browser. This is how the HTML is translated in browser. This is the HTML flow. So how HTML is translated in the browser. So markup, bytes, characters, tokens, nodes, DOM, elements, DOM, layout, render, and output. You can see here, for example, I will show you. Suppose I am designing a simple B and hello. Am I writing any document structure? I am not writing any document structure. But when I run this, you can see that this is the result. Observe carefully, it shows the result. I haven't written any hierarchy, but when I inspect, you can see that browser keeps in a hierarchy. I haven't written anything. I just said bold. But it knows where to keep your content. It knows the order. You don't write order, but it knows the order. It knows where to keep your content. There is an order for every element. It designs the hierarchy. This hierarchy is called as what? DOM. And you want to see how it works in the background? Let's try. You go to inspect. Here, you will find performance. Where is that? Performance. Go to performance category. Okay. In the performance category, click record button. And when you click record, it starts recording. Now once refresh the page, reload the page. I will refresh the page. Okay. After refreshing, that means you can just request. After refreshing, wait for 10-15 seconds, then stop this one. It will take a lot of time, but you don't need to wait. Just stop. And you can see that it will show what happened in the background and see the background process. Rendering, painting, scripting, loading. And important is the result of painting is what you are watching on screen. And before the process of painting, it will undergo a process called rendering. And before rendering, it is layout. Some process you cannot see in the structure. They are internally managed. Some you can see them. You can see the rendering process. You can see the painting process. This is not general term. This is the official browser architecture, how it will manage your HTML. So that is how browser works. So this is actually, we call it as HTML parsing. This is the HTML parsing. Bytes, characters, tokens, nodes, and DOM. Actually, we have two models. One is document object model. Another one is CSS object model. CSS object model. One side DOM will be running. Another side CSS object model will be running. CSS object model will apply styles to the HTML model. DOM will generate the hierarchy. CSS will make it more interactive and effective. And this is actually the hierarchy, how it works. The HTML parsing. That means HTML DOM, CSS object model, render, layout, paint. The result of paint is what you see on screen. So now tell me, what is DOM? DOM is an hierarchy of elements arranged in browser. HTML arranges its elements in an hierarchical order. And that hierarchical order is called as what? DOM. DOM. This is the basic process how it is going to work. So now you got the answer. How it is translated, it is a very detailed concept, but here the flow I will give. So markup to what? Bytes, bytes to characters, characters to tokens, and tokens to nodes, nodes are called as elements. This arranges into DOM and it will undergo layout and render and finally what? Paint. This is the flow. That's how HTML is translated in browser. This is the basic flow. How it translates into that. Right. Now, next important is, now you understood the hierarchy. Now you need to know the concept of, now what is DOM? You got an answer for this. Huh? So what is DOM? So now you have an answer for this. It is a hierarchy of elements arranged in browser. It is the hierarchy of elements in browser. In browser is enough. It is a hierarchy of elements in browser. So we generally call as document object model. Document object model. Right. Now, once you know this DOM, now we have two other points to understand. What is that? What is shadow DOM and what is virtual DOM? That we'll see in next session. Right. So in next session, we will complete these features of React and we will start with practical. Next session itself, we will start practical because two more features are there. We will explain and we will start practically working with this in the next session. And next session will be on Monday. So tomorrow, no session. Every Saturday we will have session, but this Saturday, no session. Again, our next session will be on Monday. And in Monday session, we are going to discuss about what is Shadow DOM, what is Virtual DOM. And now we will start practically working with React. How to set up, how to install and everything. And all this I will give in a QR code. You please scan this QR code and you can scan this QR code and join the WhatsApp community. There in this WhatsApp community, there is a Google Drive link where I will upload the notes. Google Drive link is there. There I will upload the notes. You can take this and scan, join the community. There we will upload course content. We will upload the previous videos also. If anyone missed out, they can go through this. Working? You need a QR code reader, not camera. Huh? Huh. Right. Okay, then we will continue in Monday session. Huh? Monday we will continue and Monday we will practically start working with React. Two more features we will learn and we will do that. Okay. Right. Thank you. Working? Okay. Then if you're done, we can leave, right? Yeah. We will continue Monday. Thank you. In that community description, you will see Google Drive link. There I will upload the video. Once I stop the session, I will upload the content. Huh? Right. You can leave. If anybody taken this, they can leave.